Let's talk about the Johnson P261 flow switch. If you have the old F61 series flow switch, this is the replacement, the F261 series flow switch. The goal of the flow switch is to let us know that there is flow, that is water flow in the pipe, or liquid flow in the pipe for the most part. It has several paddles that it's shipped with, and depending on your pipe size, you'll use either paddle. Now, if you have a larger pipe size than these, you have an extremely large paddle. So in general, it fits most pipe size. What happens is you have your connection points, the red being common, the yellow being normally open. That means red to yellow, it's you're waiting for flow. And once there's flow, now it gives you an indication. Now it's open. Now the red to blue, that's normally closed. In case you want an indication saying there's no flow, then it's there. You also have here your tension switch. And say you have water that basically moves in the pipe, even though the pump's not running and there's no flow, and you find that it's giving you an indication when the pump isn't running, then you can increase the intensity to get your flow switch a bit more stronger and steady so as not to have that problem. Although we have our status switches on our pumps or on our VFD, the reason why we need the flow switch in combination with our status to let us know that the VFD is on or that the pump is running is that you could have a status saying the VFD is on and the motor could be running. However, the actual pump is defective and there is no flow. Or the valves are closed, the isolation valves are closed, so there's no flow even though the pump is running. That's where your flow switch comes in. It lets you know that there's actually liquid flow going across the flow switch. So it gives you an actual indication of flow. When you have flow, then you can energize your heating valve and begin to heat the hot water or the liquid for the temperature that it should be heated for. If you open your heat valve, say your steam valve, to heat the water or your liquid, and there's no flow, so now there's a possibility of boiling that water because the water is not moving, it's sitting. And if you continue to add heat to that water, that is, say you open your steam valve and now you're adding steam to heat that hot water, it's sitting in that heat exchanger and it's not moving, and you're going to boil it and possibly create an explosion or have a real problem as that water begins to boil and turns to steam. So the flow switch lets you know that there's water moving, so as you heat the water, you don't have that problem for the most part. If you're a technician servicing the system and you think you have a problem with the flow switch, then simply take your meter. When the system isn't running, from red to blue, you should have an indication. It's a normally closed circuit. Now from red to yellow, if the system isn't running, you should hear nothing. However, once your system is running, you should get an indication of closed contact. If your system is running and you don't get an indication of closed contact, if your system is not running and you don't get an indication of closed contact, there could be a few problems. Certainly check to make sure you have water flow and make sure there's enough water flow. If the paddle isn't reaching the water flow, if your water is low, then of course it won't do what it needs to do. You won't get the water to push the paddle. So if your system is full and you know for sure you have water flow and the paddle is moving and there's no indication either way, then your flow switch could be defective and need replacement. Aside from that, the Johnson F261 flow switch series is straightforward. Once installed and set up, it's good to go. As a reminder, make sure it's installed in the proper direction. There's a flow direction on the side. Simply follow that direction and then you should be good to go.